Hey everyone, welcome to Redmen TV with some daily news. We've got some interesting stuff to discuss. We've got some not transfer related stuff. Yes, yes. But inevitably there will be some transfer things because there's always transfer things because this is Liverpool and this is still how people pick up clicks, ourselves included. So we're going to get to that shortly. Obviously, Naby Keita is the title of the video. That'll come a little bit later on. We wanted to get to this yesterday, but we were just chocker trying to film a load of reaction stuff to the transfer window. And then obviously I was doing Social Club and Ball Street as well. But Liverpool's Champions League squad came out yesterday, so I just want to whiz through this, with the biggest news story, of course, being that Nathaniel Clyne has been omitted, which is fair enough because he's injured. But it's interesting though. So going through the Liverpool Echo article on it, and it says rightly, it's added fresh concerns over his injury status. Manages 45 minutes in pre-season after playing in the game against Tranmere, but succumbing to a back injury, which has seen him absent since. Now, there's talk off the back of this that obviously, if he's not registered for the Champions League squad, now you can re-register players in January, but that's the soonest we're going to be able to register Nathaniel Clyne to play in the Champions League. So, effectively, it started to pose the question of, are we talking January before he's even going to be fit and available for us? We've had very little news coming out of the club with regards to updates on his injury status. Klopp mentioned him. We get asked about him pretty much in every pre-match press conference, but it's very keen to just say, no, still not right or injured or what have you. But yeah, in fact, we've got it. He says, speaking before the win over Crystal Palace last month, Klopp said, we sorted it with all the experts and everything, not just our own medical department. Having a rest and doing a programme in the summer, he would be sorted. But he started again and was not. That's how medicine is. I've had these situations before, and for us, it's another situation which is not perfect. We work on these things to find a solution. Notable absentees also include Lazar Markovic and Danny Ings. Now, there was rumours that Markovic was going to be included in this. Now, I don't know if the Premier League squads have been announced, but I suspect he'll probably be featured in that. But there's some interesting points here. Liverpool squad, which can be made of a maximum of 25 List A players, 8 of which must be locally trained, and a limited number of players born after January 1st, 1996, cannot be changed until around the 16 should we get that far. Full squad then, Karius, Mignolet, Ward. You know what's really boring, I'm not going to read through it all, you can just find it right there on your screen. Look at it right there, isn't it glorious? Interesting ones for me, Harry Wilson, Ryan Brewster, Con Masterson, you can see Ovia Jardy in there. Now, obviously, what it's not mentioned is obviously there's a B list of players, which are effectively the guys who are eligible to play anyway. This is what they say about the unlimited amounts of players who were born after 1996. But it makes you wonder why they've bothered to include them, unless it's a making the numbers up kind of thing. But there you go, interesting stuff. Obviously, Phil Coutinho, as absolutely expected, takes his place in the squad. Anyone who thought otherwise is probably, I don't want to say weird. Moving on, Emre Can is going to be targeted by Juventus in January, according to the Metro. I'm not saying that they're not interested. I'm not saying that if he doesn't sign a contract with Liverpool in the next couple of weeks or months, that Juventus won't come, sniffing around looking to get him on a free and sign a pre-contract agreement. What I am saying is the Metro, because generally speaking, they're just full of absolute bollocks. But yeah, they're reporting on reports in Italy. Tutto Sport feel Juventus' interest with the club's general manager Beppe Marotta. We've already said several times we intend to start formal negotiations with the German international in January. Corriere dello Sport have gone as far as saying he'll sign a pre-contract agreement with Juventus in January. If the former Bayer Leverkusen player were to leave Merseyside, it would be a huge loss for Liverpool. Midfielder quickly became a regular side and showed increasing influence in the team following the arrival of Jurgen Klopp at Anfield. Let us know your thoughts on Emre Can then, and whether he's a genuinely interesting thing. Go on, what are you doing? That's really weird. What are you doing? Anyway, Chris has just offered to nosh me off on the table and then fails to deliver. I mean, come on. Anyway, we move on. Thomas Lemar. This is technically the Arsenal news at the moment on the Sky Sports website, but just to confirm him, Thomas Lemar was interested in joining Arsenal and Liverpool, according to Monaco Vice President Vadim Vasilev. Super. It was not easy. Thomas wants to go to Arsenal and to Liverpool, but we had discussions and we took a communal decision so that he could stay here. He's a very important player for us. We could not have sold him. It would have affected the entire team and the individuals. And because if that goes to an advert, I'm cancelling it. If it plays the video, it's gone to a Mountain Dew advert. Get off. Right, Charles, he did score a good goal. We're not waiting for a Mountain Dew advert to see it again, though. Now, here's one of the things that I was really interested to talk about. Obviously, I mentioned this in the title of the video and in the thumbnail. Now, isn't the Daily Star amazing? Miss Bum Bum 2017, world's most voluptuous bubble butt unite for girl-on-girl action. Terrific, Mendes. Naby Keita can play with Liverpool this season. Transfer could happen in January. Price. Liverpool can end up signing Naby Keita from RB Leipzig in January, according to Bundesliga expert Lee Price. Now, I don't know how much of an expert on the Bundesliga Lee Price. I think he's got a book about it. I know Lee Price as the author of the history of the FIFA series. Of games. He wrote a book all about where all the FIFA games have come from and all that kind of stuff. Really interesting book, really sound fella. I did a podcast. I did the 90s podcast, one of the 90s podcasts with him, and I'm dead sorry, but I can't remember his full name, but I did the podcast with him a couple of years ago. Really nice guy. I think he's now working on PR for a betting firm, but he says, well, who the fuck sent me that? That's fucking, yeah, okay, well, quote, he's talking to a paper we weren't going to talk about, so that was a big waste of time. So let's not worry about that one then, shall we? Well researched. Ben, thank you. Let's get to some of your comments. I think the general tone of this is, and I think I've seen people discussing the Naby Keita stuff in different places, but there's a feeling that because there's already an agreement in place for him to join at the end of the season, and a lot of it was dependent upon things like Champions League action and what have you, that should Liverpool get through to the round of 16 and should Leipzig not get out the groups, then Liverpool could potentially offer a bit more money and that might bring it in. I don't think this is a thing, if I'm perfectly honest. It sounds very similar to the Divock Origi stuff from a few years ago, which it makes logical sense. The players already agreed, the transfer's there, the connections are already there. We could hurry along with money, and maybe that's a possibility, but I just don't see that. I think they would have to get someone in. I think they have to get another replacement in January, which is a possibility, of course, and it would depend on Leipzig's success in the Bundesliga, because listen, if they're pressing Bayern Munich hard, why would they want to let him go early, even if they have dropped out of that? So yeah, we'll get to some of your comments now. Let's see. Supadeep Banerjee, RMTV, will we ever get Stevie on? It'll be tough to get Steven Gerrard in this room. I'm going to continue to try. But if you haven't seen it, I did an interview with him at BT Sport headquarters before the season started. A little bit of that went out on the YouTube channel, but the full interview is actually on the redmentv.com. So if you want to see that, do go and check it out. A nice little bonus piece of content. ADS145 says, would Phil walk into the side? At the minute, walk in? No, absolutely not. I think he walks straight onto the bench, and therefore that is as close as anything you're likely to get at the moment, but would be very interested to see. Yeah, okay. Sounds. Si, what have you got for us?
Jack Howard, he said, under no circumstances should we be selling Emre Can. He's an absolute monster. Give him 150 to 200,000 a week, future captain, in my opinion.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about Emre Can and his potential at Liverpool Football Club, and I think, let's be honest, this time a year ago, I don't think anyone was really that arsed. He wasn't putting the performances in. Didn't look like he fitted anywhere in Liverpool's first 11. He looked too defensive to play attacker. He looked a bit too slow and ungainly to do box to box, and he just didn't look cultured enough or have the intelligence to play DM. But all of a sudden, he's been our best midfielder this season. I think that's fair to say, and he's absolutely got his best years ahead of him as well. It would be silly to let him go. It's stupid to have let it get to this situation, but equally understandable because, again, when negotiations were happening a year ago, I don't think his value was where him and his agent probably think it is. Whereas I think he was starting to get value for money for Emre Can to the point where I think Liverpool should offer him a big contract. Whether they do, it's a different matter. Harry Stringer, £2 super chatters. It's your boy. That's exactly how he said it, I would imagine. Simon.
We've got Mosi S. He says City is too big a game for the Coutinho show to take place. We should keep the winning team as it is.
I agree with that. I don't think you put Phil Coutinho straight into that team. And I think the problem is the thing. Phil Coutinho's first game back in a Liverpool squad almost certainly is going to be televised because most of our games are televised. It means that all the cameras are going to be pointing at Phil Coutinho. Now, this is where we find the making of the man, and it's up to him as well, because if he's not capable of handling the pressure of that, and if he's not capable of handling the pressure, and we're not capable of handling the pressure that goes with having Phil Coutinho involved, then Liverpool are going to fall short again, and Phil Coutinho's never going to reach his potential as being a top quality footballer, to be perfectly honest. So, yeah, Mark Shadbolt said, sell Phil, he's a little div. He is a little div, but unfortunately the transfer window's shut, so we're not going to.
Declan Mogg says, how much should we pay for Keita if we was to get him in January?
It depends on what the premium is at the end of the season. So let's say the premium is structured along the lines of, if they get back into the Champions League, it's 20 million extra. If there's... I would match whatever the top end bonus is. We've said we're going to offer the premium on top. I would pay that in January. In addition to the 48 million release clause, say if it was a possibility. But I wouldn't go beyond that because we'll see. If Liverpool desperately need him in January, then make it happen. Because why would you not make it happen? But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't go overboard. People, let me know what you would spend. Paddy
Stachelham says, but Coutinho loves scoring against City.
This is a very good point. This is why I think Phil Coutinho on the bench for the weekend, and we're going to do the build-up show later on this week, and Chris will be doing starting 11 as well. With a much better squad for having Phil Coutinho there. I think the only issue is just whether Jurgen Klopp can get over the issues that he's got with him now, and I would fully understand if he couldn't. But hopefully they can both put the differences or whatever aside and just focus on playing really good footy and beating really good teams, because we've got a great record against Man City and so's Phil Coutinho, but that record counts for nothing now, and here and now in this season they're planning to go and prove themselves and do it again. Another one?
Jack Margules said Liverpool need a good defence. Why does Klopp always get strikers and attacking midfielders when we have some of the best attacking players in the league with the worst defence of the top six?
Because we don't have enough of those top quality players to play 50, 60 games in a season the way that we play. And so where Liverpool fell down last year, people could claim it was because of the defence. And yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't because we conceded far too many goals. But when we lost the ability to play that brand of attacking football and high energy football, when we lost the likes of Lallana, Coutinho and Mane, we struggled because of that, not so much because I think of the defensive issues, although they're not non-existent. So if you can't get a defender that you're totally happy with, better to replicate what you do in an attacking sense as much as possible. And as I say, you can now lose Mane for a bit, and you've got Salah, and you've got, again, not top quality, but Oxlade-Chamberlain's got a load of pace still. You're not back to putting Lallana right wing and Firmino left wing, and Daniel Sturridge centre forward, and wondering why we're dead slow and really ponderous in attack. So yeah.
Luke overall said I'd rather get Keita next summer so we can build chemistry with our other squad players in pre-season before he starts playing.
Yeah, I think
the good point as well is he'll be cup tied for the Champions League anyway.
That's a very, very good point. There's some interesting stuff actually. So a couple of people talking about Ben Woodburn and saying that he sees him as a natural replacement. So Dylan O'Rourke says, do you see Woodburn as a Phil replacement? And some people are talking about him on the bench. Maurice Wales saying agree with Woodburn on the bench. I think it's too soon for Ben Woodburn. I think we'll start to see him in the cups, and I think we'll start to see him drip fed here and there, little pieces, bits and pieces in the first team, and that's the way you should handle 17-year-olds. In a football sense. But yeah, I do. When I watched him in pre-season playing in the midfield, he made sense to me as a footballer. I'd seen bits of him for playing from the left-hand side, a little bit from the right, and he's looked good again for 16, whatever, last year. But he looked beyond his years mature playing in midfield. And I do genuinely see that if Phil Coutinho goes, we've got someone who's maybe not absolutely fully ready to take over the mantle, which is why we might need another interim player. But we've got a very, very good player there in Ben Woodburn, who I'm very excited to see. And look, scoring on his international debut as well. Those are the kind of things. Scored on his Liverpool debut, that's right. And scored on his international debut as well. So, yeah, good players do that. Let's have one more, Si.
Will the Ox make the starting 11?
Yes, but not on Saturday. Eventually, yeah, maybe the week after. Maybe he makes it in Seville. Maybe he makes it the game after that. But he will, because Liverpool's starting 11 isn't Liverpool's. We've had 2 years of an A team that plays every single game and then like throwing a hodgepodge stuff together. We're going to see rotation, I think, this season. I think Oxlade Chamberlain's going to be a very big part of that. So Nathan Fitzpatrick, as you're saying, Kava Solikol from Sky Sports saying Phil refused to play in the Champions League. That's not what he's saying, actually. You've misread that. So actually, in fact, you know what? I can get that up because, you know, we're online, aren't we? Let me just get Twitter up and see if I can find Kava Solikol. There we go. Beautiful. Right. Let me see if I can find the tweet. So it says Barcelona paper sport say Coutinho monumentally angry with Liverpool. He will refuse to play in the Champions League. Good luck with that, is how he phrases it. So yeah, he's not saying Phil Coutinho will do that, and this is where we need to be careful how we report stuff. Much like myself, that there's that paper is just a Barcelona mouthpiece by all accounts, and they've been spouting a load of shit all summer long, so I wouldn't worry too much about that, if I'm perfectly honest. Anyway, thanks very much for watching the Daily News today. If you're watching this after the fact, do subscribe to the Redmen TV YouTube channel by clicking the annotation, which is the Redmen logo. If you want more from me, you can do. There's my channel, Mates TV. 21,000 subscribers. It's flying. I've answered a load of your random questions, a 20k Q&A, which we'll put there, won't we? Yeah, man. So thanks very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. Loads of amazing content on the redmentv.com this week. We've done a transfer window review in 2 parts. We're looking at every single Liverpool piece of business and rating them whether they're good, bad or shit. And we're going to do the squad depth analyzer. Do Liverpool have the squad to compete on multiple fronts this season? Stay tuned on the redmentv.com. First month is free. Get involved and basically be fully entertained this week building up to Liverpool Man City. Cheers.